let's jump into the AFC West. I like this division. Well, I like 3 out of the 4 teams in this division. I would normally say 2 out of the 4, but I do have a little bit sort of excitement in the Broncos and hopefulness, I should say. But that being said, let's start off with the Denver Broncos. Last year, terrible season. When we looked at all of their statistics across the board, they were bottom feeders in almost all statistics. And you hate to see it. I think their rushing was, bottom half. Their passing was bottom half. There wasn't any category that stood out, and that was the problem. You had terrible quarterback play. You had an injured star running back. You had drop balls from your wide receivers. When it came down to it, there wasn't anything that made you excited about the Denver Broncos. But going into this year, what do you see? Do you see improvements? Do you see that Sean Payton's going to be somebody that's going to make a change? And are there any players that do excite you on this squad?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same, like, copy and paste whatever you thought they were going to be last year, and I think that's what we're kind of looking at this year, right? And you have some elite talent on this team. I mean, this receiving core is really good. You have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, and they drafted Marvin Mims Jr. Like, I really like this receiving core, and then Greg Dulcich at tight end. We just talked about the running back. So Javonte and Samaje Perine, both really good talent. I think they're going to have to kind of wait and see with Javonte how far he comes along. But once he comes back healthy, I mean, this offense should be good. On paper, they are good. If they had some terrible play calling last year, on top of just terrible quarterback play from Russell Wilson, he got sacked too much. He got pressured. And I think a lot of it was him holding onto the ball. Like, it wasn't just like he just got pressured more so than other teams. He was just holding on the ball for too long. But I think as long as these guys, at least the receiving core, stays healthy, they got really good talent there. So I can't see. I've talked about Jerry Jeudy being a guy that, I think he can emerge as a top 15 or top 20 guy in the league. He has all the talent around him. And you look at some of these younger speed playmakers. I mean, how do you not like Tim Patrick as a number 3? How do you not like Marvin Mims Jr. to come later on in the season to actually start producing? It's the same reason I like Quentin Johnston in the Chargers. And we're going to talk about him later in this episode. The same reason we like him, you got to like Marvin Mims Jr. for the same kind of talent. Like, you have 2 other elite guys there with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. And both those guys who struggle to stay healthy the entire season. So a lot of these the 3, 4, 5 receivers should get a lot of play. And then Dulcich, I think, is going to be an emerging talent at tight end this year. Again, we've talked about him kind of being a sleeper in the league at tight end for if you miss out on one of the top guys to go and get him. But Russ was so bad, characteristically bad last year.
There you go. You got it.
That you can. I know it was. Words are hard.
That was a big word. But it's a big word, buddy.
Yeah, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. All right.
Oh, you almost messed that one up.
I almost messed that up. I tripped. It's that damn tongue. But Russell Wilson was so bad last year that you can't think that that's the rest. Like, you can't think that he was part of a system in Seattle, comes to Denver, and then all of a sudden it's like that's the rest of his career is what we saw last year. Yeah. So let's say there is just a small bounce back. It's still better than it was last year. I mean, what did he throw for 19 touchdowns? It was awful. And this defense is elite too. This defense is really, really good. So they're going to get the offense to the ball. And what can the offense do with it? And so I like this team to really take the next step. It's one of the 5 teams that we talked about as an improved offense this year. And I think you're going to start to see that. They might struggle at times, but I think Peyton coming in is going to add some stability to that offense. So I don't know, who do you like? Who do you like from this offense? Like, so there's a lot of names I just threw out. So like, which guy do you like, and why? Well,
here's my thoughts. So when you look at the Broncos offense in general, I'm going to break down the numbers for you real quick. You're right with the whole. You're right with the whole Russ Wilson holding on the ball too long. They were one of the most sacked teams last year, if not the most sacked team. I think he was sacked 63 times. And I think the next closest was the Colts in 60, and Matt Ryan held on the ball a lot too as well. So you look at that number. If that number goes down, his passing statistics should just go up. But some of the alarming numbers were first down conversion percentage was under 30%, which is very low in the NFL. You had another bunch of statistics only having a 60% completion percentage, that being on the low end too as well. So all these things coming into a factor, like he has to bounce back and be accurate. He has to get his guys the ball, and they've got to convert on first downs for his stats to improve. That being said, if Russ stats improve, you've got to think his receivers improve. And I love Jerry Jeudy. He is one of the best route runners in the league. He's a very crisp route runner. It creates separation. Him, Devonta Smith, Keenan Allen, these guys aren't going to blow away with their speed. However, they are going to create the separation, and that separation is going to get them open. As long as Russ can throw him the ball and get it to him accurately, they're going to be successful. I'm still fading Courtland Sutton. It hurts me to say that because I think he's a good receiver in the league, but he hasn't proven that he's been the same receiver before the ACL injury. Tim Patrick was awesome, and I thought going into the season he was going to be great last year, and the injury hurt him. I'm still going to tread lightly on that. The two guys I'm looking to get in my drafts are going to be Jerry Jeudy and Samaje Perine. I like Javonte Williams. I'm not steering clear of him because I don't think he's talented. I'm steering clear with him because I just don't like grabbing guys coming off ACL injuries. I'd rather somebody else have a Cinderella story than me having a terrible choice in my pick because the guy is often on and off the field and not fully ready on the season and not explosive like he was before. I would take a dart throw on Russell Wilson as a second QB off the board, especially if I'm taking quarterbacks late, because I think people are going to be, gun shy. They're not going to want to take Russell Wilson. I'm willing to take him because the guy's done it in the past. He's got receivers around him. He's got a good offense around him. Yeah. If he just doesn't hit the panic button and he keeps his cool, I think you'll see a decent Russell Wilson season. I don't know if you're going to see caliber that we used to ever again because he is on the tail end of a career, but he's not that old. He's not Aaron Rodgers' age, and I still would trust Aaron Rodgers as well. So I like these guys. Rushing stats wise everything's going to go up, but their defense was just unbelievable last year. I don't know if you remember the first couple games. I mean, they literally have given up 5.9 yards per attempt in the passing game. Like they weren't giving up. I think they gave up only 20 touchdowns through the air and they had 15 picks of their own. So those numbers are fantastic at keeping your offense on the field. The problem was the offense couldn't stay on the field themselves. And
that was the problem is that they would force 3 and outs and then they would do a 3 and out. It's the same thing with the Jets defense at times, They would go 3 and out, then their defense would force a 3 and out, and then they go 3 and out, and again the defense is back there again. The defense can only hold up so much.
Well, let's see. Last year,
more this year. This is actually in terms of team defenses in fantasy, this is a defense I'm targeting to grab early. There's only a couple teams that I really, really, really want to get. Outside of the 14th and 15th pick, and just wait and grab whoever's available. The Niners,
do you have to go that early though for the Broncos? Because I think people are going to think and say, well, you got to play Pat Mahomes twice. You got to play the Chargers twice.
No, I'm not saying I'm going to. I'm just saying I would value them there.
I would too. But I'm just saying I think you can get one over on your team because I think a lot of people aren't going to be thinking highly of this defense because of the opponents they will have to face. But they proved it last year.
Well, let me ask you this. I want to go back and let me ask you this with Javonte Williams. What round would he have to slip to for you to be like, yeah, I'm going to go grab him? If you're saying, he's a little bit too rich coming off a knee injury, you're not going to get him in the 4th round. Let's say he drops to the 6th round to you.
Yeah, so the ADP he's dropping down. 4 is way too rich. If somebody's taking him in the 4th round, that's what I said. It's go ahead. But to me,
we'll see this week when it gets updated. That he's not on the pup list.
But listen, we've seen that. Look at the history of the running backs coming out of there, though.
My question is, where would he have to slip to you for you to say, I'm going to go grab him?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Right now, he wouldn't have slipped anything. I think 6th round, I would take a shot at him because at that point, I at least have my RB1 already chosen, and I maybe already have my RB2, and I'd be happy with him if he's my RB2 as well because I'd follow up with somebody. But again, right now he's going very close ADP between him and Perine. I'd rather either get Perine at the same value, or if Perine's ADP starts to drop a little bit, he goes around later. I'd rather take somebody else in that 6th round and take P. Ryan in the 7th. So that's where I am with that. Like, I'm not going to, hammer the nail into the piece of wood because he's sitting there right for me. It's not a guaranteed I'm going to pick him if he's there pick. Like, even if he's in the 8th round, I'm not guaranteed to pick him in the 8th round because I want to see what values around me and how my team makeup is. At that point, it's like I probably already have better running backs that I'd rather have at that stage.
I don't know. If he falls to the 8th round, I think you gotta hit the smash button because the upside, like, yeah, he might come back slow in the first 6 weeks of the season, but the upside is so.
But we're also
I'd still rather have him over David Montgomery. I'd still rather have him over. I mean, I know, Jahmyr Gibbs is going really high, but I'd probably have him over the whole Lions backfield right now. I'd have him over a lot of these secondary. I'd have him over Washington. I need the Washington backs.
I'm actually I'm a little higher on Gibson.
In the 8th round. I mean, sure, but does he get into that J.D. McKissick role more? Like, is Brian Robinson going to come in and take most of the carries, which I think is going to be the possibility, and Gibson's going to move into a slot. But in all honesty, they have this. We're not talking about the AFC East today, but I'm just saying, I think Javonte Williams is a guy that I think you're right. A lot of people are going to just be worried about the injury, but this is a guy I personally think that, if he's there in the 6th or 7th round, I think it's a no-brainer to go and grab him because, again, he can be an RB2, a high-end RB2 when he comes back healthy in the second half of the season. And the guys that I'm drafting there are not going to be end of season putting up the numbers or the second half of the season putting up the numbers that he's potentially going to be putting up.
Well, let me put this out there for you and put something in perspective because I took a little bit deeper of a dive into Javonte, and I think people want Javonte to be something that he's not. And listen, he's only had 3 weeks in 2021, and in 2022, 0 weeks inside the top 10 finishes for running backs. The guy has, to me, is sitting there looking at
that. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. But I'm saying he has only had 3 weeks. Like, I expect some RB2s to have some top 10 breakthroughs and be consistently at least in the top 20. He was consistently outside of the top 20. In fact, the last 3 weeks of the season, 2021, he finished 30, 46, 36 in standard scoring. And then last year, the games before, I'm not even counting the Vegas game where he left. Those first 3 games, he was 23rd, 19th, and 33rd. And I just don't see it, especially with Sean Payton, because if he was more like a Kamara type of running back, I could see Payton falling in love with that. But I just see P. Ryan and Williams in a new coaching scheme, him coming off a knee injury, him not being RB2 caliber, him being a flex running back for the majority of the season. Like, he needs P. Ryan to get injured, and he needs to be 100% healthy. The numbers just don't say it to me yet. And anybody listening right now, feel free, drop a comment, let me know, see what you say. But he's had fumbling issues in his career. He had it his rookie season. He had 1 week one last year. I just don't see it. But that's just me. I'd rather take my chance with somebody else. I like the air game over there better.
Okay.
So, I mean, let's quick jump in. Broncos last year, they finished the season off with 5-12 record, and they also have an 8.5 game on Vegas winning. Would you take the over or under on the 8.5 for the Broncos this year, which I thought was pretty high considering where they finished last year? Vegas likes them.
I think it's gonna be 8.
See, that's the thing. You got the fact they finished 5-12 and Vegas has the line at 8.5 wins. Vegas always knows something that we don't. So, to me, I like the 8.5 line. I'm taking the under on 8.5. I'm taking the under on 8.5. Huh? That's bait. Bait. You said
under. That's bait right there. They're baiting you into taking it.
Yeah.
I think they finished at 8 wins.
Yeah, I think they finished at 8 wins. I mean, here's the thing: is you look at the schedule. I'm going to pull it up real quick so we can go through each game and just see what our thoughts are. But 8 is what I think. So we've got preseason. You got Raiders, Broncos, week 1. I'd say Broncos could edge out the Raiders.
Okay.
You got Commanders at Broncos, week 2. What do you think?
Commanders.
All right, so 1-1. You got Broncos at Dolphins. Dolphins win that one. They're 1-2. Broncos at Bears. Bears. All right, so you got 1-3. Jets at Broncos. I think Jets beat Broncos 1-4. Broncos at Chiefs 1-5.
Chiefs.
Packers at Broncos. I think Broncos could beat Packers.
That's 2-5.
2-5. Chiefs at Broncos again 1-6. Broncos at
2-6.
Bills. Or sorry, 2-6.
2-7.
2-7. Vikings at Broncos.
2-8.
2-8. Browns at Broncos. I think the Broncos could win that one possibly. I don't know. That's a tough one.
The Broncos can win that one.
But you got 3-8. Broncos at Texans 4-8. Broncos at I think the Broncos and Chargers will split this year. So let's just say this first one they win at LA 5-8. Broncos at Lions. 5-9. Patriots at Broncos.
Broncos.
6-9. Chargers at Broncos. I said they would split, so give them the win here. 6-10, and then you've got Broncos at Raiders 7-10. So yeah, I mean 7 or 8 wins. I think you could see 1 or 2 of those possibly going another direction. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because I think the Broncos could possibly beat the Bears. So there's your 8th win in my opinion. But still, so I take the under there.
Sure.
I think 8 wins is good. Again, you need Russell Wilson to play. This defense can't win the games for them. So